Chords and Coffee coming to you from the break room. Take you a quick drink. These are a bunch of Dan Palen's old albums that he put on there. It's really cool, break room. I enjoy drinking coffee in here and reading your comments. Music Production Videos said, hey, why don't you do a Chords and Coffee on how to get from a 1 chord to a 4 chord in the name of creative exploration. Well, you know, I love that. I would love to know in my heart that there have been songs written that were inspired by Chords and Coffee. Coffee, ain't that right, Marla?
Chords and Coffee.
Chords and Coffee. Coffee is Southwest Missouri for, hey, let me see that 335. Boom, there's Josh and Jared. Look at that, checking out some gibbies. This will be a fine guitar to play a little 1/4 on. Probably not the first time a 1/4 has been played on a 335. Certainly won't be the last. So we're going to talk about how to go from a 1 to a 4. If that doesn't sound interesting to you, well, friend, stay tuned, because there's some cool chords to be learned. And as we walk down the hallway, look here, Amber's giggling, looking at her computer. Ain't no telling. Anyway, let's get up to the cabin. 1 to 4. How many different ways? Let's do 4 ways. 1 to 4. We're going to go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. I'll pick key of C. Why not? We're there. If I get to feeling froggy, I might choose something else, but I'll show you one of my favorite chord progressions of all time. It is in so many great songs. It's actually a beautiful but very easy to play chord progression. And it is the 1 to the major 7 to the dominant 7 to the 4. Then we'll talk about some more. If you want a chord chart of this, you know what? Just email me, Nate White, NateWhite, at palenmusic.com. Right? Super easy. 335. Let's get the old plectrum out. Plug it in. We're going to go from C to F. So, first things first. This little progression here. The gentleman that left that comment about going from 1 to 4 talked about the Beatles, and the Beatles would do this a lot. So you take your 1 chord, so in this case it's going to be a C. Let me show you the cowboy chord version, like the folk chord version. So just good old C chord, right? Index finger on the 1st fret of the B string. High E is open. G is open. And then middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D. And then ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A. Good old C, right? Now, all you got to do to make it C major 7 is just take your index finger off. If you're a Beatles fan, you know this is something in the way she moves, right? And then to C7, it's C dominant 7. The difference between C major 7 and C dominant 7 is C dominant 7 has a flat 7. Its normal, its natural 7 is a B, right? If you paid attention to one of our recent lessons here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is normally a B in the key of C, but a flat 7 would be B flat. So in this case, you're going to make that same C chord again like we just did, and then you're going to put your pinky finger on the 3rd fret of the G. Right? So quick recap, regular C. Take your index finger off, so you got that open B string ringing, and then C dominant 7, right, and then to F. I love that progression. Lenny Kravitz, It Ain't Over Till It's Over. A lot of times I'll go to the minor 4. So in that case, that was just D to D major 7. So let me show you how to do that, okay? Out of the key of C, now in the key of D. I told you, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen on Chords and Coffee. So we're going to do this in the bar chord form. Why not? So we're going to do index finger on the 5th fret of the A. Pinky is going to lay across. Why pinky? You could use your ring whatever you like. Every now and then my pinky feels left out. And why not? It's a weird looking finger, right? Let's get him back in the game. There you go. Plus you get to do this cool Spider-Man thing. Rock and roll. Okay, so pinky or ring, no one cares, across the D, G, and B string on the 7th fret, right? Same. Then the next chord is going to be index finger on the 5th fret, ring finger on the 7th fret of the D, middle finger on the 6th fret of the G, and then pinky on the 7th fret of the B. Good old D major 7, right? This is where it gets great because it's super easy. Then you're just going to pick this guy up totally off. You can lay him on top of your index finger right there, right? Also, besides Lenny Kravitz, It Ain't Over Till It's Over, Julian Lennon, Saltwater. Do you know that song? We are da 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 da. We are a billion children rolled into one. Then it goes to G after that D7, right? And this is just good old bar chord G. So index finger laying across the 3rd fret from 3 to 3, and then build an E chord underneath it. So ring finger on the A string, 5th fret, pinky on the 5th fret of the D, and then middle on the 4th fret of the G. And then take off your middle finger to make G minor, and then back to D, right? And then saltwater wells in my eye. And then it goes B flat, C, D like that for that saltwater song. But you could see going from the 1 to the 4. In that case, the 1 is the D chord and the 4 is the G. This is a really cool device, going from 1 to major 7 on the 1 to dominant 7, then to the 4 chord. It's beautiful. Adagio from Spartacus by, I think I'm saying his name right, Khachaturian is a composer. And a long time ago, I used to work in a public radio station, KRCU, 90.9 FM, Southeast Public Radio in Cape Girardeau. And I got exposed to so much great classical music and a little bit of jazz and some of that, what they call new age music, which was like, at that time, was a lot of Enya and the occasional Michael Hedges, which I was like, what is that guitar even tuned to, right? Anyway, but I heard that song and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's that chord progression. So 1, major 7, dominant 7, 4. Beautiful chord progression. So that's number 1. Number 2, this one, okay, so this is an easier one. All right, so let's go back to C. And this one, we're going to go to E7 and then F. And what makes me think of it, there's an old song, Freight Train, Freight Train, Freight Train. Right? Maybe you've heard that. It's an old folk kind of tune. But it goes from C to E7 to the F. A lot of times when you hear that C to E7, you want to go to A minor, which is a good substitution for F, or F is a good substitution for A minor, either which way. But it's nice to go to that too. So there's a couple different ways to do that. So let's do it. Here's the first way. Good old cowboy C, like we did at the top of the lesson. And then E7. So then what you want to do here is you want to put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, index finger on the 1st fret of the G. D is open, D string is open, and then pinky is on the 3rd fret of the B. E7 and then to F. Just good old F chord, just index across the first 2 on the high E and the B, and then G string, 2nd fret, and then ring finger on 3rd fret of the D. And sometimes my pinky will get on the 3rd fret of that D, and then my ring finger will go to the 3rd fret of the A. It's like F over C, and I almost do that involuntary now. But anyway, C, E7, F. Now here's another cool way to do that. C, and then E7 like this. This is the board on the Bayou, E7. Right, or Toadie's Possum Kingdom E7. Whichever one you know better kind of shows your age a little bit. It's okay. I know them both. You probably do too. Index finger on the 5th fret of the B. And then pinky on the 7th fret of the G. And then middle finger on the 6th fret of the D. and then ring finger on the 7th fret of the A. That's a nice E7. Matter of fact, it's the same chord grip as the C7 we did just a second ago. Slid up to here. I think that there was a band, Screaming Trees, one of the lesser known, as far as on an international circuit, grunge bands that came out of Seattle, and they had a song called "I Nearly Lost You," and they had this. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it went back and forth between E7 and C7 like that, and they're using that same grip. But anyway, I'd have to listen to it again. That just popped in my mind. Rabbit holes abound, friends. Okay, so from that E7, you can go up to this F here like that, versus going all the way back down to here. I would go E7 and then put your pinky on the 8th fret of the A, ring finger on the 7th fret of the D, and then index finger laying across the 5th fret from the G, the B, and the high E, F major 7. Go to G, right? Or maybe F minor, down to C again. So that's chord progression number 2. Number 3, this is kind of these churchy, kind of Pentecostal sort of thing here. Here, bar chord C, index finger on the 3rd fret of the A, ring or pinky, whichever you like, on the 5th fret of the D, the G, and the B, to D minor 7, index finger across the 5th fret, and then ring finger on the D string of the 7th fret. The G is being held down by little index human capo here, middle finger on the 6th fret of the B. So, and then, right? So right here, we're going to go to this. You can look at it as E flat or D sharp, E flat diminished 7, or D sharp diminished 7. And this is an interesting little chord. So it's a diminished chord with a double flat 7, right? Here's an easy way to think about this without getting in the weeds and all that. What you're going to do is you're going to have your middle finger on the 6th fret of the A. And then right below here, it's almost like you're going to build a D7. That's right, D dominant 7. Triad. It's almost like a D7 with a D sharp in the bass. Right? But here it comes. So you got middle finger on the E flat, which is on the 6th fret of the A. Ring finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D. Index finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the G. And then pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of the B. And then slide that bad boy up to an inverted or an inversion of your C chord, where you got the 3rd on the top. So you got your index finger going across the 5th fret of the D, the G, and the B. Ring finger is here on the E of the 7th fret. So Wind Cries Mary chord, right? And then pinky on the 8th fret of the B, just so you got this sense of like melody on top. And then that can take you right to the F, right? And what's fun about that is you can go. And that F chord that we did just a second ago, that F major 7, remember that? You can back up the video and see it. You can also build it like this, where you have your pinky free. So your ring is on the 8th fret of the A. Your middle is on the 7th fret of the D. Index is covering the G, the B, and the E up here. But then your little pinky is going to post up on the 8th fret of the B. So it's really like an F add 9, because it's got a G in on the top of it. And I like the rub of that A and that G right there. It's a kind of a cool little walk-up. Speaking of walk-ups, here's one that's like straight out of the this would be like a kind of a, I almost said the word generic. I don't know that generic is right. It more of straight up the middle, kind of a walk up, where you've got C, D minor, and then you can go to C over E. But in this case, let's do the E minor. And maybe F major 7. That's nice too, that little chromatic thing. So let's go 4-1. So let's go F major 7. So index finger across the 8th fret. Build the major 7 underneath where you got your ring finger on the 10th fret of the D. And I'm going, by the way, 8th fret from the A to the high E. 10th fret of the D with the ring finger. Middle finger is on the 9th fret of the G. Pinky is on the 10th fret of the B. And then down here to this E minor 7, index across the 7th fret. Ring is from A to the high E. Ring is on the D string of the 9th fret. Good old E minor 7. G string is being held by the human capo. And then middle finger is on the 8th fret of the B. And then here, if we go down chromatically, watch this. Isn't that nice? Just straight down. So that D minor 7. Don't change anything. Just hold that grip. So there's really only 2 grips to this because I'm just going to the C major 7, which is the exact same thing I was doing up here. So there's 4 different ways to go from 1 to 4, okay? Try these in other keys. These are all movable except for the cowboy chords, but all the other stuff, it's movable, right? I'll give you a bonus round chord. This is one of my favorites here. So good old cowboy C. And then instead of doing C major 7, do E minor instead. And then instead of doing C dominant 7, we're going to do G minor 7. So listen. So good old C, good old 2-finger E minor, right? And then this G minor where I'm holding a G on the 3rd fret with my middle finger, skipping the A, okay? And then my ring finger is hitting, I'm actually skipping the D too. But if you happen to hit it accidentally open, that's okay too. But my ring finger is holding down the G string, the B string, and the high E. And if you want to go for money here, or for broke, if you want to go for money or broke, you can play this C9 where your ring finger stays here on that 3rd fret of the G, the B, and the E. And then your middle finger hits the 3rd fret of the A, and then index finger is on the 2nd fret of the D. And then to F. So the whole thing. Here comes the G minor. C9. Right? So there's a 5th chord progression there. Man, I would love it if you guys end up writing something, or you have even if it's just like a little, sometimes I've had a chord progression. Did you see the episode of Chords and Coffee with me, Paul, and Tyler? I had this chord progression here. I don't know, I made that up a long time ago, but I would just solo over that. And I thought one of these days I'm going to write something with that, and I will. But in the meantime, honestly, I'm just enjoying, putting that on a looper or recording that and just playing over the top of it, just because I enjoy it. Believe it or not, I actually enjoy playing guitar for fun and for a release. And I hope you do too. So with that in mind, if you want to see a PDF that you can print off, just email me. It's just the easiest thing to do. Nate White, NateWhite @palenmusic.com. Just send me an email and say, hey man, I'll take that PDF. Also, if you have any other suggestions or questions, comments, or whatever about Chords and Coffee, I'm here for it. So send me that. I would love, please comment below ideas for next lessons, because this lesson that you're watching right now is a direct result of someone going, hey, I would love to see how you get from a 1 chord to a 4 chord. So here we are. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having fun. Get out there and encourage somebody. Tell them to keep going. And if you can play some guitar and have a good time doing it in the process, that's even better. I sure do appreciate y'all, and we will see you next Saturday for another Chords and Coffee.